YouTube, what's good with y'all, man? It's your boy Justice coming at y'all with another YouTube read, another collective energy read. I hope this finds you guys at a clarifying time of your day. Remember to take what resonates and please leave the rest behind. I appreciate your likes, comments, shares, and subscribes. So very appreciate it. Just trying to get back to my consistency. But let's go and get started. Angels of the highest of white light, please bestow upon me clear and concise channel messages for what my collective needs to hear, accommodating with the general one that I have. Thank you and Ashe. So off the top, there's something about, the message that I have generally is for a lot of you guys have been under what we call sacrificial rituals, or what we call, attempts against your life to gather some form of inheritance, quote unquote, destiny, or just an energetic swap, And so my general message is, the people that tried to sacrifice you, they didn't know the God that was behind you. And so a lot of times people come in forms of groups, or on a form of a group style, or a group, not style, but group like propaganda, right? And you guys know what I'm talking about. So occult groups, the themes of these types of groups, these types of societies, and these types of formalities. And so a lot of you guys go through subjects of being that sacrificial lamb, being that scapegoat that it has to fall back on, right? And so a lot of times people come across beings like you at the wit's end of their subjects of sacrificing. So if you're following me, I hope you guys can hear me clearly. If you're following me, there's something about you guys being some form of last line, or a last step in somebody's journey of this kind of line of their life, or this type of this type of pathway in their life, right? And so a lot of times people can get away with these sacrifices. People can get away with a lot of things they do transactionally. And you guys know how this system works. A lot of you guys are my, what you call those light workers, those chosen ones, those ones with the pure energy or a certain vibration that can emanate past that firmament, that is seen as a useful object for somebody else's use, right? And so a lot of times these people or things come across you, and it's supposed to be a different experience as to what was compared to be before, right? Well, maybe those transactional beings that they may have killed off, may have taken their destiny, may have taken their money, may have taken their sanities from them, right? But they come across you and they come into a bit of a trouble, right? And so there's a point for that. There's a message in that. And it's because there's something standing behind you that is saying, hey, this is the end of that. Hey, we're not doing this. Hey, you're not going to do this to mine. This is one of mine. No, you will not, right? And so that usually kind of catalyzes some sense of a rebellion, right, amongst people that will continue to recontinue that same attempt. And what usually happens is some type of identity shift that happens within another person's soul. And when I'm saying identity shift, it's how somebody may have identified themselves before as somebody that knows that they can do this dark art shit, or knows that they can get away with it, or knows how to do some of this dark art shit. And they come across you, and they come across a different puzzling response. And so what this puzzling response does, it conflicts the spirit that knows what it's used to doing. And what it does, it pushes that spirit to do something different. And usually what it does is it illuminates the most monstrosities of behaviors out of that person in regards to the control that they feel that they're losing. So if you're following me, I talk really quickly. Y'all be telling me. But if you're following me still, a lot of you guys have been in this disposition, maybe multitudes of times, right? And so a lot of times people can't come to this certain conclusion to where they felt like they got off on you the same way they got off on everybody else. And so when they can't get off on you, they're going to try harder, or collect more people, or collect more propaganda against your life to try to make a validated pull at it, or push at it even, right? So if you're following me, a lot of you guys go through lies, scandalous behaviors from people closest to you, from people that should have been protecting you, people that should have been watching out for you. But instead, you had to find your own sense of withstanding with your own connection to source, with your own connection to religion, spirituality, whatever that may be, to get away from certain environments, collections of situations, or collections of people that aspire to go after your soul in this way. And so a lot of times people don't know what to do with your spirit. A lot of times people don't know what to do when it fails a couple of times, or when they're not getting the full accruance, right? A lot of you guys have gone through systematic oppression through people trying to gather your energy and put you into a collective system of harvesting. And so if you're following me, a lot of you guys, in simpler words, a sacrifice to an occult group, occult system, or a sacrifice to souls that know what to do with that occult information. And so what they do is keep you in a pool and pass your soul around or pass your spirit around, and they pass your energy around as if it's some money, resource, currency, because that is their sense of currency, right? Like Cat Williams said, the devil can't create, the devil can only kill, steal, and destroy. And so this type of reflection of this message is kind of reflecting that same affirmation back to somebody that I'm speaking to. And remembering that you're the source of somebody else's either gratification of energy or somebody's wealth, maybe success, fame, fortune. A lot of you guys have these stories, and you can share them with me in the comments. You guys feel free enough to do those things, and I really appreciate it. But there's something about understanding the backhanded results of these type of conflicts, and that people can't really accept what happens when there's a God seeing them, when there's something of a higher authority seeing them, right? And it's not all the times that it's your eyes, it's what's seeing through your eyes. And that's a message for somebody. And it's a message also of affirmation for a lot of you guys that are already knowing to get close to spirit and protect your energy and doing all these different things to find protection, 606. And so there's something about a lot of these experiences that brought a lot of you guys back inward to yourself. And there's a meaning, there's a significance behind it. And that significance follows through in your connection to source that we speak about. That connection to source that these people fear. That connection to spirit that these people revere so much, but they lustfully attach themselves to because they don't seem to find that sense of self within themselves. And so, you know, it could be looked at on a simpler level like this in terms of fixing and solution and problem, but it really is a bigger collective system when a lot of these guys, a lot of your oppressors, a lot of you guys as attackers or occultists or whatever this is, a lot of times they have to continue keep rolling on that line because of their line of actions that they did 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 50 years ago, 5 days ago, 5 hours ago. And so they have to continuously pull on that line, and your energy is a solution. It's a solution to that. It's something that can validate or enable their issues because it's some type of antidote. A lot of you guys' pure energy is a simple, pure result or a harvesting plant for a lot of these people that want to find you to be a victim. And so let's go back into that. The propagandas and the scandals and the things that make it easier for your soul to be bound or boxed in. That's what we're really saying with a sacrificial sacrifice, right? When they can hold your spirit against its own will without your power to break out of it, that is a sacrifice. It's not always about your life. It's not always about losing your life. You can lose your fortune. You can lose your fame. You can lose your notoriety. You can lose your reputation with other people. And so a lot of these things can differentiate in different situations. And so a lot of you guys are aligned with this message in some way because of some type of affirmation of what stands behind you. You got to understand what stands behind you to understand what stands against them. And so what stands against them is making them go under your nose. What stands against them is making them play in your face. What stands against them is making them watch their behaviors with you. That is what shows you something. And so a lot of you guys have had to learn some sense of duality or protecting yourself in terms of this dark, shadow aspects of what is to be, let's say, a light. So let's say a shadow aspect of being like a light worker or whatever you would connotate your role to be. A lot of you guys are my healers. A lot of you guys are my creatives. And a lot of you guys have a very powerful light energy in which you have to protect it through shadow means. And when I say shadow means, it's going through these shadows to understand what's coming through those open doors, right? 848, those are even numbers. Both of those numbers speak to a structuring, a certain sense of systematic understanding of what you put out comes back to you. And so there's something about the multiplicities that can rise up against you. That's kind of bringing me to my next theme. When one can't do it, and a lot of times these kind of people are all orchestrated, we all know this, together in some type of blood orchestration. If they're not that, then I don't know what that is. Somebody practicing without those things is usually not the case, right? A lot of these people are connected by a sense of blood origin that connects them by the same spirit that is controlling them. And so what happens is a lot of these spirits, these souls, they understand that something's pulling on their life slowly and gradually, right? I learned this from my father, right? And a lot of you guys heard my testimony in terms of that. And I kind of want to bring a more renewed one later on at some point in terms of a more fulfilling understanding and perspective of what I was really coming to find out myself, right? But a lot of times these sacrificial things are by force with these people that are in this kind of unit, this collective, because they have to continue doing something to entice a spirit that is governing over their blood or over their spirit through their blood. And so a lot of times that's what a blood oath is. You're conforming to something that is a middle point connection for all these souls to be connected by. And so what that can really entail is that oneness connection. So let's bring this up too. So with that oneness connection, something that somebody does can affect a whole reign of other people, right? And so a lot of times people have to kind of pick up the wit's end of somebody else's bullshit. And that's what these systems create, right? If somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. If somebody has to gain, somebody has to fall. And so these systems are having to be shifted and changed and transcended for what the Most High is bringing in today, right? And it may not be today, may not be tomorrow, may not be in 10 years, may not be in 20, 30. But these are the shifts that are transpiring on a spiritual level that a lot of you guys are put in these positions for a reason, right? And so that's kind of the general theme of my message today. But I'm trying to find I'm gonna wait for some others. But I can just kind of flow with it though. It's fun to do. I can just kind of flow. I haven't had my cars got taken. They were stolen. My backpack got stolen. So if you're wondering where my cards and things like that went, I don't really need them though. That's one thing I've been kind of like confirmed on. I've been pushed towards putting a more intuitive sound message that comes straight directly from me and not having to kind of come in some type of middle point, right? And I think the Most High is kind of orchestrating that in some way, shape, or form to kind of bring some proof that, you know, the gift is real. You don't need a medium, the medium. You don't really need a medium in between what your connection to source already is. That may be an affirmation for somebody. It's about trusting your inner connection and your inner voice, trusting your inner compass, trusting your intuition to know that to let yourself be, you know, spoken through by spirit, to let yourself be, you know, proclaimed through by a bigger power and authority, and understanding the differences between the different powers and authorities because they are there. A lot of you guys are learning that duality, 12-12 as I'm speaking it. So there's something about understanding the position that you're playing in terms of maybe being a cloak, right? Inside of what seems to be a targeted vessel, what seems to be a chastised vessel, or somebody that was walked upon, or somebody stolen from, or somebody that's targeted, right? And shift the perspective to understanding that you're walking a path with God, and this world is not usually of God. And so that's my last one. If you need a personal message personal messages with me, hit up Shamika Son with a C and Shamika@gmail.com. I've got a few partnerships that if you're interested in 20% off of any of those things, the links will be in the description. Amazon Web Services for any type of programming toolkits and programming tools and features and apps that are associated with all type of different development tools itself. I'm not a software developer. My father was though, so I'm not too well acquainted with those types of things. But I can also I could probably make a video on those different advertisements, because I've been kind of asked to do that too. But Otter Spirit is another one, a jeweler company that sells jewelry enhancing crystals. Jewelry that is enhanced by crystals. They sell all types of bracelets, watches, necklaces, and rings, things like that if you're interested. And Rose Forever New York, if you're interested in 20% off of any flower decor. So roses and things like that, bouquets and things like that. Besides that, I'm pretty much done with this one. It's your boy Justice. I've been reading some comments recently. Y'all be saying like, I miss you. I really appreciate it. I've been dealing with some, I miss you guys too. I miss coming on the platform, but I've been really dealing with life experiences that I've got to deal with myself in terms of my vibration, in terms of how I'm coming at the platform itself. So I really make sure that I'm handling certain things that are coming up in my life in a way that it's not backpedaling into what I'm doing on here. So that's kind of like an understanding. But in terms of transparency, like with my father's story, things like that, I would like to bring a certain conclusion to that one of these days. It'll probably be later on. But either way, I'm done talking though. It's your boy Justice, and sending my love and Ashe. Peace out.